Good morning and welcome back to another lovely episode here of NexusCraft. With me, Blue64 of Blue Nexus Gaming. As you can see down here, we are on version 1.17.0. I have not updated my Minecraft. I am aware that there are bug fixes. I am utilizing the furnaces. Speak out against injustice and up for equality. Weird. Very weird. Anyways, we have ourselves a lot of ore to process. You can smelt 20 items in a furnace by using a block of dried kelp as fuel. Gold is more abundant in Badlands biomes. Both very useful pieces of information. Let's see. When I go start making mob farms, one of the things that I'm going to actually want is one of those amethyst geodes, because those things look like they produce some very useful materials. I'm interested in that tinted glass they offer. Okay, we're logging in, everything's loading in, an autosave is happening at the same time. It's fine, everything is fine. Only most things are on fire, probably. Anyway, let's check out our fortune pickaxe and see what we have on offer from our ores from the previous episode. I accidentally went off to the side here. Let me gather up my materials. There we go. Now, from the looks of things, I did not leave myself very much to work with on this iron pickaxe. However, if I recall correctly, I believe there is another iron pickaxe in my inventory waiting for me to make use of it. Make sure nothing escaped. No. Okay, looks like we gathered it all. Just double check. Gotta run all the way down here just to make sure I didn't miss any experience or anything. I'd take the minecart, but I don't want to travel too fast. Just in case. It's also why I'm not jumping. Yeah, if I remember correctly, the Silk Touch Subscribe pickaxe, which I am currently holding, was kind of marked for its end, because if I remember correctly, this specific pickaxe has been repaired far too many times in order for it to potentially prove useful. Therefore, I possibly might need to go merge a new one together. Got some extra emerald block out of that, or block of emerald. Okay, now for the ores. to go into the furnace. I don't even really need a full block of coal. That is really not a lot of ores. Unlike this one, which is just eating through tons and tons of coal. It's also eating through tons and tons of stone. Let me grab some more. Where's this one at? Is this one here? Next one over. There it is. Okay, let's get 3 stacks. Then we shall see where that leaves us. Just make sure I didn't lock the hopper on accident. No, doesn't look like it. That's good. Okay, looks like I did not need 3 stacks. Therefore, I can put that stack back. That rhymed. And then I can grab extra stone from there in order to craft that into a full stack. And then I can put that away. Next order of business probably involves some smooth stone. Let's see. How were we looking down here? We were looking decent. Oh, right. We were actually up there because of our pickaxe running low on durability. Therefore, we want to head back up to the surface here in order to check out. Yep, that one's too expensive. Okay. Let's make another pickaxe with Silk Touch, Efficiency, and Unbreaking. That one's 7 levels, that one's 1 level. We shall rename it. Subscribe. There we go. We have a replacement. Efficiency 5, Silk Touch, Iron Pickaxe. With Unbreaking 3. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole description. Just a fully decked out pickaxe that is very capable of carving out all of this silverfish infested territory. Now, just because I got rid of all of the silverfish in the area a long time ago, does not mean that I trust the area to not be infested with silverfish. I will still use the Silk Touch pickaxe, at the very least to cut down on the quantity of cobblestone which I have. I have grown quite fond of having the Silk Touch on my pickaxe. It is very useful once I remembered that it was able to prevent silverfish from spawning. Okay. Now I just make sure that I don't have any ore in any of these little sections here. Okay. Let's see. Last I mentioned my D&D party was... okay, so my D&D party ended up going the monk, the Kenku monk, decided to stick around to see what came out of the basement, which was a little bit tense of a situation, seeing as it was a horse-shaped slime or humanoid-shaped slime. I forget which. It was a ooze person that ended up arriving out of the basement, and this ooze person had not seen their friend. However, they did mention to the Kenku, the ooze did mention to the Kenku that the ooze managed to see someone die to a gigantic water elemental. I don't remember the specific size category that I used for the water elemental. I just remember it was somewhat oversized by quite a large margin. The player was not supposed to let the water elemental get that big before trying to fight it again. They re-engaged the water elemental multiple times, and the problem was, after the first time, they kind of found themselves a little bit trapped, because they realized that in order to escape, they would need to swim away. And the problem was, swimming against the swim speed of a water elemental is entirely a futile attempt, because water elementals have a swim speed of 90, which means they can move through water at 9 miles per hour. I don't know if you've tried moving through water at 9 miles an hour. However, I believe the average human walks at 3 miles per hour. Therefore, if you were to triple your walk speed for the average human person, you would find that you would be able to walk on land as fast as this creature is able to swim. That doesn't sound too disconcerting at first. However, you must also keep in mind that if you do not have proficiency in swimming in Dungeons and Dragons, then that additionally means that water is considered difficult terrain. Now, that would mean that in order to run in water at the same speed without any swimming proficiency whatsoever, that would mean that the person would need to run 18 miles an hour or 180 feet in one turn, approximately. Now, keep in mind, I'm using D&D math on that. Therefore, the math might be a little bit skewed due to the oversimplification of 5th edition. However, if we were using the older editions, those editions actually relied on quite a fair bit of math. The Wizards of the Coast variant of Dungeons and Dragons is much simpler, much easier to get into. However, as the progress of the campaign evolves, as the world evolves, the GMs and players alike both find themselves wanting a little bit more. They have a tendency to specifically find themselves wishing that they had something a little more comprehensive, something that could describe things a little bit better for them. If I were to try and reintegrate 3.5 into 5e. That would technically make it 6e, but I don't own D&D, therefore I can't officially say it's 6th edition, but you know, we all know how it goes. We've all been there. We're all sitting there going, well, you know, I love D&D 5e, but it's just nowhere near descriptive enough. And then you're just looking at each other going, well, we could just make our own copy of the rules and adjust them accordingly. And then you guys chuckle at each other for a bit, and then you just kind of look at each other with a serious look, and you go, no, seriously, we could totally do that. And it's like, well, yeah, you can. There's nothing stopping you. As long as you're using the rule set that you create for private use, even Wizards of the Coast wouldn't be able to stop you at that point, because it's still technically a private game. It's not something that you're profiteering off of. It's not something that you're, you know, trying to sell. You're not a competing business trying to steal away their customers. Instead, you're just playing the game with your friends, which is perfectly fine. I believe the stone was there. Yes. You know, it's when you expand it beyond it just being you and your friends, that's when Wizards of the Coast gets upset. Therefore, you know, if I wanted to advertise, hey, I got this like cool 5th edition mix up of the rules, and I tell you, okay, there's some homebrew stuff, that I can do. However, what I can't do is advertise it as, you know, Dungeons and Dragons 6th edition. You know, I can't do that. There are limits on what is and is not allowed. I understand that. However, I think it's a bit of a rude thing for Wizards of the Coast to not allow people to very easily integrate their rules into D&D. Instead, Wizards of the Coast specifically chooses to utilize an exclusivity type of ruling, which allows for them to retain creative control over all of their content, which means that basically, yes, they do get to say what is and is not official. However, it definitely limits what is able to be created, because that same limitation is the same limitation which stifles the creativity, which we don't want to stifle. You know, we want to foster creativity. We want to generate lots of creativity. We enjoy creative thinking. You know, creative thinking, creative writing, whatever you want to call it, we enjoy creativity. However, creativity is only useful when there is something to be expressed. You know, for example, if I want to express, you know, that it's a lot of hard work building out this massive mine, I can, you know, that's an option. That's actually pretty easy to express. Just take a look at how many episodes I'm on. I'm on what, episode 112, 113? I don't know. The number of episodes I have made is rather absurd lately because I'm making episodes and then in between episodes being made, whilst the episodes are uploading, I'm sitting there listening to my music and I'm just editing the videos with, proper titles, proper descriptions, proper tags, so that if people search my content, they're able to easily find it. I'm including, a proper hold on. Proper names, proper tags, proper titles, proper information cards at the start of the videos, reminding you to subscribe, and additionally pointing out that I additionally have a Patreon. Therefore, if you want to support me on Patreon, feel free, because I have a Patreon specifically for receiving monetary support. I don't think I have a Patreon subscriber yet. I've been advertising it, don't get me wrong. I just don't think I have anyone who has actually pledged any money yet. If you want to give me money, great. I would love to get paid, I would love to get money. However, I do not normally get money for creating these Minecraft videos. I mostly just do this as a bit of a personal project. There's some silverfish ahead on my right. Oh my. Well, looks like I'm going to be digging out some silverfish as I start excavating, but I probably won't notice because I'm going to be using Silk Touch the whole time. One thing I do need to do, though, is I need to actually go through and make sure that I have mending, which means I need to go fishing, or I need to go... I either need to go fishing or I need to go retrieve villagers and start a villager breeder. My options are kind of limited either way. If I go fishing, then it makes for a very boring episode, and I have to think of something to talk to you people about for the next couple of hours, whilst I just sit here fishing. Not AFK fishing, no. Actively sitting here fishing on Minecraft. Not the most entertaining of episodes, but it's something that is needed for the base. I could probably think of something to talk about for 5 hours. There is plenty going on in the world at pretty much all times. It's just a matter of really discovering what is going on. Let's see. resource here. We just need to make sure we gather it all. Yeah. The party. First, the Kenku introduced the ooze to a dragonborn friend who was a paladin as well as a bone crafting guild member. Dragonborn crafting bone armor for an insect was a pretty accurate description of what the scene was as they arrived. My Kenku party member had a quick look around, noticed that mostly it was just the dragonborn, the spider, and the human that had taken a liking to the dragonborn. And they just kind of shrugged and they wandered off to go elsewhere. They wandered off to their room. The slime, the ooze, however, did not fully take note of this fact, causing a wee bit of confusion when the ooze showed up the next morning and was, surprised to find out that its friend was not currently in that room. Therefore, the ooze decided to go wait at the bar. And that's where the ooze met Jack Mist, which it had actually met Jack Mist the previous night. However, Jack Mist was deeply engrossed in his research. He basically needs to spend a little over an entire day just working on his spell book, just to get his spells written down. He has keen mind, therefore he doesn't need to worry about forgetting his spells. He's actually got a spell gem. He was fortunate enough to acquire a spell gem, which allows him to not need to write down his spells in a spell book. Instead, he writes them down in the spell gem. The gemstone prevents his book from burning, prevents the ink from getting washed away. Instead, it is all stored inside of the gemstone. That definitely does provide a lot of assistance to Jack Mist. Specifically in the realm of having everything easily accessible, as well as having everything safe and secured and protected. It's a good way to have everything protected. You don't want to lose your spells, after all. That would be silly. Instead, what I have is a gemstone that I just need to make sure that I do not lose. Because if I lose that gemstone, then I need to go back to using my old spellbook, which a fellow party member, a rogue, has been making use of in order to keep track of their ritual spells, because they got the ritual caster feat, which allows them to ritual cast spells. Specifically, they got the wizard archetype version, which specifically allows them to cast wizard spells as a ritual. It's a decently useful feat. However, the real usefulness of it only really shines when there is enough of a time frame for ritual spells to be used. If the party is, for example, under a very strict deadline, a time frame which they have to accomplish a specific goal within. If the party finds themselves, lacking in the department of time, then it doesn't really get a chance to shine through how useful the ritual caster feat is able to be. Ritual caster is very, very useful as long as you have the ability to use it. If your GM never gives you a chance to actually, cast a spell, then it's not going to be as useful. Similarly, if your GM just has a thing against spellcasters, you're probably going to get a lot of resistance from your GM in that direction as well. Some people just don't like full casters. Some people would rather not play alongside full casters. It's understandable, but it's still kind of rude to just not be nice about the whole thing. People can be pretty understanding if you give them the option to be understood. Okay, well, if this is not a staircase to nowhere. This is an actual staircase. It's the other one that's a staircase to nowhere. Okay, well. Yeah. That's a staircase to nowhere. Okay. Yeah. Yep, lots of mining to be done. Okay, now I just need to worry about things such as a power outage from a nearby storm. Or maybe if I was, really worried, I might be concerned about perhaps my inventory filling up with materials before I get a chance to, plop down all of this smooth stone. After all, I am digging out 3 blocks for every smooth stone that I put down. Okay. Now we get to go over this way. Yeah. Where was I? The ooze then decided that the ooze wanted to, wait for its friend at the bar. It met Jack Mist. Jack Mist was like, well, I haven't seen them. They're probably in their room, and it was at roughly this point that they actually came down from their room themselves, and they were like, oh, it's you again. It was also at roughly this point that they realized, oh, right, we're not exactly in the friendliest town for just your average ooze to just come wandering up from the basement. Probably not exactly the best time for talking to the local criminals. The Kenku monk had a criminal background, therefore they were able to understand that the Bobes were attempting to intimidate the ooze friend that they had, discovered from the basement. Just a friendly ooze. Therefore, the Kenku managed to notice that the criminal contact was attempting to actually intimidate the ooze. However, the ooze was entirely oblivious. Therefore, the ooze then proceeded to continue eating its meal, which was consumed in one bite. The ooze was very very hungry. It ate some cheese, but it was very hungry, and so it just plopped the whole hunk of cheese in its mouth and just let it dissolve, as oozes do. As I mentioned a few episodes ago, it can be very fun playing such a weird type of entity, a weird type of creature, such as an ooze. However, if you don't know how to play it right, then it can quickly become a balancing act between trying to balance the ooze's abilities against trying to figure out what kind of situation the ooze would find itself in in these various situations which it was getting put in. For example, our characters then decided, well, with Miki gone, Miki wasn't the one who went looking at the guild, but with the only person who really knew anything about the upcoming caravan leaving, being the Kenku, and the Kenku didn't exactly ask for lots of details. They were just like, hey, what kind of jobs pay really well? They were just like, well, there's the upcoming merchant caravan. That's always going to pay well, if you're strong enough. Assuming your caravan doesn't get completely robbed, then yeah, they'll pay you pretty well. Because they gotta go over to these dwarves, and they gotta sit there and negotiate for materials, with the dwarves, because the dwarves are the ones mining up all the ore. They're the ones doing all the digging here, and therefore the humans and the elves and the gnomes and the orcs in the area, they all go and do their business with the dwarves. And it's like, well, okay, but who's going to protect them from the bandits? Well, there's an adventurers guild in town. So they're like, okay, well, we're just going to have this whole regular event where we just pay people to, play bodyguard for the caravan, basically. And if people want to show up, send them our way. If people don't want to be a bodyguard for a caravan, then that's fine too. But, if they're going to play the bad guys, they're going to have to realize that, we posted in the Adventurers Guild for bodyguards, So we're going to have some muscle, because we're going to have people who are wanting to get rich. We're going to have people who are very strong. If bad guys want to show up, they're going to have problems, and it's a very good way of running it. The player characters have not really made any mention of the concept of wanting to rob the caravan. Therefore, I feel like the lack of interest in wanting to rob the place is a good thing. However, not many of them are really willing to get that far into a plan of planning out a heist of some form. However, lately, one of them actually did say, maybe we should, plan a heist. That'd get us all the money we need for building our armor. And that is actually a half-decent idea from that character, seeing as they know Silver, they know Jack Mist, they know Dark Chaos. They find out that suddenly they owe the what was it? They owe the who is it they owe? They owe the Bone Crafting Guild 30 platinum ingots, of which they have paid they've paid 3 ingots worth, but they owe them the other 27 platinum ingots still. we're now at the point where we have this task before us where, we need to go and, protect the caravan. However, in the process of, retrieving the information about the caravan, we found ourselves in a bit of a situation where we accidentally provoked a attack from the adventurers because the adventurers are mostly human, and they're kind of racist in this town. It's a feature of the town. The town is racist, specifically in favor of humans. The Oozkin was unaware of the danger that they suddenly found themselves in when they demonstrated their echolocation ability. However, the wizard and the monk both managed to quite easily spot all of the bad guys that were now readying their weapons. The fighter, which is the half orc, half Goliath, the fighter managed to spot it at the last moment, just before he went out the door, because he was like, hey, where's everyone running off to? And then he looked around and he's like, this place ain't half bad, all the wanted posters, there's a lot of jobs here, all these lovely strong adventurers, and keen-eyed adventurers, and their pointy crossbows and their pointy crossbow bolts that they're loading into their crossbows, and I should get out of here. It's like, yeah, you should. That's what his consensus was. He was like, wait a minute, that's a lot of crossbows and crossbow bolts, and maybe we should do something about the whole getting out of this specific building thing. And so they went and they returned to the carriage with Jack Mist the wizard and Burb the Kenku, Burb the monk. Jack Mist, a deep gnome wizard, Burb being a Kenku monk, Ogmul being the half orc, half Goliath fighter, and Pink, or Pinky, being the what was their class? Let's see, they were an Oozkin Clockwork Soul Sorcerer. That's what they were. I do not think it was the UA version. I think it was just normal Clockwork Soul. Unless the current version is UA. I don't remember which. But they're a Clockwork Soul Sorcerer, which means they have little hand watches of various types. One's a stopwatch, one's a digital wristwatch, one's an analog wristwatch, and one's just like one of those waterproof watches that you see like swimmers wearing and stuff. And those watches are just floating in their body because they're an ooze, but that's their sorcerer manifestation is little clocks like appear in their body based on the number of sorcery points that they have. Therefore, currently they are a level 4 sorcerer. They have 4 little hand watches of some variety or another located within their body. This has not become an issue yet. This has not really become much of a topic. However, it should decently soon become relevant, as they will very soon find themselves getting into battle. And well, they're currently in battle. However, they will find themselves very soon making use of their sorcery points to a much larger degree, which will cause them to quite rapidly reveal their sorcerer nature to the party, much to the bewilderment of themselves, seeing as they don't really notice the watches. They don't really see the watches inside themselves. Now, I haven't really discussed where they get the watches from with the player. We could make it where they have to actually go out and locate more watches. Like, their whole thing could be just they keep absorbing watches. At which point I would definitely need to increase the rate at which people, I would need to increase the amount of time that people actually spend checking the time. As currently, the people in the D&D world, or my D&D world, I should say, do not spend all that much time actually keeping time. They don't keep track of time very well. And that's fine. There's plenty of places where time is not exactly relevant. But then there are places where time is very relevant. Now, I could, give him a free pass on this one and go out of my way and make sure that his character doesn't have all that many issues. However, the problem with that is it would conflict with my world building, because I actually had planned for one of my 50 islands for my campaign setting to involve a time distortion field, which basically means that there are points in time where you would get your spells back on a short rest, or sometimes even just over the span of an hour, not actually needing to perform a short rest. But then there are also going to be times where, because of the nature of the island, there will be a place where, you don't get your spells back unless you rest for like a week. Just a full week. And it's like, wow, that's rough. It's like, well, yeah, that's the nature of of that specific island. It's a very rough island to be in as a spellcaster. That's kind of the point of that specific island. There's not really much I can say about it because, spoilers, not that any of my players watch my YouTube episodes. Something about not having 5 hours a day to watch Minecraft videos on, or to watch Minecraft videos with, I should say. But yeah, I definitely am going to be making use of the various difficulties that will arise from needing to deal with what is essentially temporal magic, meaning time magic. There is some wizard going around messing about with time. And when the players manage to find this wizard, they will manage to uncover multiple different plot points, which I have set up in advance. I plan to introduce the wizard that is manipulating the elements to affect the seasons. I plan to introduce a wizard that is attempting to create monstrosities by modifying various animals. They are the cause of the escaped chimeras, which the coatl are hunting. The coatl being the winged snakes which spawned from the bloody fight from the Duel Ouroboros War, which was the war in which the primordial elements had their champions fight each other amongst the primordial chaos, which originally spawned the Duel Ouroboros pair. The specific pair then landed on Mount Celestia as well as Avernus. If you are not familiar with this pair, they are known as Asmodeus or Asmodeus, and I forget what the other one was. But they are a very, very old deity, both of them. They aren't even technically supposed to be gods. They are just ancient beings. However, because of their age and because of their origin, and because they managed to survive so well in the primordial chaos, as well as